Why people are loyal to their interests before they are loyal to you. One of the hardest lessons in life is discovering that some people you considered close friends were never truly loyal to you. They were loyal to the value you brought into their lives. As long as your presence made their lives easier, they stayed close. As long as you offered advice, attention opportunities, emotional support, or practical help, they appreciated having you around. But when your circumstances changed, some of them changed too. That truth can hurt deeply because we naturally believe friendship should be built on loyalty. We assume that if we are kind, supportive, and loyal to others, they will automatically treat us the same way. But human nature does not always work that way. Most people naturally protect their own interests first. Their priorities, ambitions, fears, and circumstances influence the way they behave. When those things change, relationships can change with them. This does not mean everyone is fake. It simply means you should understand the difference between genuine loyalty and a relationship based primarily on convenience. Think about how many friendships begin. Some start at school because you spend every day together. Others develop at work because you share the same goals. Some are created through business, hobbies, social circles, or mutual interests. There is nothing wrong with this. Shared interests can create meaningful and lasting relationships. The mistake is assuming that every relationship built through shared circumstances will automatically become lifelong. Circumstances change, people move, careers change, financial situations change, priorities change, and when the common foundation disappears, some relationships naturally fade away. This is why difficult seasons can reveal more about a friendship than years of comfortable conversations. Ask yourself what happened when you stopped being successful, influential, helpful, or available. Who remained close? Who disappeared? Who still checked on you without needing anything? Those moments reveal character. Many people do not consciously plan to betray you. They simply follow their own interests. When their priorities change, their behavior changes with them. Understanding this can save you from years of unnecessary disappointment. You may have been kind to someone for years and still discover that they cannot give you the same loyalty in return. That does not mean your kindness was worthless. It simply means you should never assume that generosity automatically creates lifelong commitment. Loyalty cannot be purchased through endless sacrifice. If you constantly help someone while secretly expecting them to become more loyal to you, resentment eventually develops. You begin thinking, after everything I've done for them, how could they treat me this way? But the reality is simple. Kindness should not become an emotional contract. True friendship is not built on debt. Pay attention to what people repeatedly do. Their actions reveal their priorities much more accurately than their promises. Watch where they invest their time. Watch what they protect when difficult choices appear. Watch who they prioritize when life becomes complicated. Someone can tell you that you are important, but if their repeated choices always place personal convenience above your relationship, believe the pattern. Patterns rarely lie for long. This understanding can also protect you from becoming bitter. Not every relationship is meant to last forever. Some people enter your life for a season. Some provide companionship during a particular stage. Others teach you important lessons rather than becoming permanent parts of your life. You do not have to hate these people. You simply have to understand their place in your life. And then there are the rare people who remain loyal when loyalty becomes difficult. They stay when you are struggling. They respect you when you have nothing to offer. They celebrate your success without jealousy. They tell you the truth even when the truth is uncomfortable. They support you without constantly calculating what they will receive in return. These people are rare. And precisely because they are rare, genuine loyalty should be appreciated rather than expected from everyone. The strongest people understand that their emotional stability cannot depend entirely on other people's loyalty. They value relationships, but they do not build their identity around them. They appreciate people without becoming completely dependent on them. They observe character instead of chasing promises. And most importantly, they understand that actions eventually reveal where someone's real priorities are. Kindness is not always loyalty. Once you understand that people naturally protect their own interests, another important mistake becomes easier to recognize. Many people confuse kindness, attention, and shared time with genuine loyalty. Someone may speak gently to you, spend hours talking with you, laugh with you, or offer occasional support. But none of these things automatically prove that they will remain beside you when life becomes difficult. Kindness is valuable. Attention feels meaningful. Shared experiences can create strong emotional connections, but none of them, by themselves, guarantee loyalty. People often become emotionally attached because someone treats them well. A few deep conversations, thoughtful gestures, and enjoyable experiences can quickly create the feeling that you have found someone who will always be there. But emotions often reach conclusions before reality provides enough evidence. You begin trusting the feeling instead of observing the character. Then when circumstances change, you feel shocked, but the truth may have been visible all along. Almost anyone can be kind when there is nothing to lose. It is easy to smile when everything is comfortable. It is easy to encourage someone when their problems require no sacrifice from you. Real loyalty appears when supporting someone becomes inconvenient. That is when character becomes visible. Ask yourself a simple question about the people around you. If I could no longer provide anything useful to this person, would they still treat me the same way? If my success disappeared, would they still call? If my influence vanished, would they still value my presence? These questions can be uncomfortable, but they help you distinguish genuine connection from convenience. Some friendships exist because people see each other every day. Some exist because both people benefit from the relationship. Some exist because two individuals share the same environment. Again, there is nothing wrong with that. The problem begins when you mistake proximity for loyalty. When the environment disappears, the relationship may disappear too. That does not always mean someone was dishonest. Sometimes it simply means the relationship depended on circumstances rather than deep commitment. Pay attention to consistency rather than intensity. Intense friendships can feel powerful. People may promise lifelong support within weeks. They may call you family and swear that nothing will ever separate you. But genuine loyalty usually does not need dramatic announcements. It proves itself quietly. It appears through consistent behavior over time. Someone who is truly dependable does not need to repeatedly convince you of their loyalty because their actions already provide the evidence. And remember this. Someone understanding you does not automatically mean they are loyal to you. They may genuinely enjoy talking to you. They may care about you in certain ways, but when difficult choices appear, their personal priorities may still come first. That is why observation matters more than emotion. Watch what people do when maintaining the relationship requires effort. Do they disappear whenever life becomes difficult and return when everything becomes comfortable? Or do they remain steady even when circumstances change? Their repeated behavior tells you more than their kindest words ever could. The greatest form of emotional freedom is learning to appreciate kindness without becoming dependent on it. Enjoy the conversations, value the memories, be grateful when someone supports you, but do not build your entire emotional security around temporary attention. People change, responsibilities change, priorities change. If your happiness depends on another person behaving exactly the same way forever, disappointment becomes almost inevitable. Wise people appreciate relationships without becoming blind to reality. They welcome kindness without confusing it with commitment. They enjoy attention without treating it as proof of lifelong loyalty. And they understand that genuine loyalty is rare precisely because it survives changing circumstances. Unrealistic expectations create deepest disappointment. After understanding that kindness and attention do not automatically create loyalty, you reach another important truth. Sometimes the deepest pain is not caused by what people did, it is caused by what you expected them to do. Many people suffer because they expect others to love, support, sacrifice, and communicate exactly as they would. But every expectation placed on another person can become an invisible agreement that exists only in your mind. You may believe someone owes you the same loyalty you gave them. They may never have made that promise. Human beings see the world through their own values, fears, ambitions, and priorities. Yet we often judge others according to our own standards. We think, if I would never abandon them, they would never abandon me. If I always keep my promises, they will do the same. If I support them during their hardest moments, they will automatically support me during mine. These assumptions feel natural because they are based on your own character, but other people are not you. They operate according to their own principles. This is why silent expectations can destroy relationships. One person expects constant support. The other believes occasional support is enough. One expects complete loyalty during every hardship. The other believes personal responsibilities should come first. Neither person may have intended to cause harm. They simply had different expectations. And sometimes disappointment begins long before the relationship actually breaks. It begins when you expect someone to fulfill promises they never consciously made. Expectations also change the way you interpret behavior. If you expect someone to always respond immediately, a delayed message can feel like rejection. If you expect permanent loyalty, a disagreement can feel like betrayal. If you expect someone to understand your emotions without explanation, a misunderstanding can feel deeply personal. The higher your expectations become, the easier it becomes to feel disappointed. Another dangerous belief is that your sacrifices automatically create obligations in other people. You help them, you listen to them, you support their dreams, you stand beside them during difficult times. Then, somewhere inside, you begin thinking they owe you the same commitment. But genuine loyalty cannot be forced through emotional debt. If someone stays because they feel guilty, the relationship is already unstable. Real loyalty comes from character, not obligation. This is why emotional dependence can be so dangerous. When your happiness depends entirely on how another person treats you, you give them control over your emotional peace. Their attention affects your confidence. Their absence creates anxiety. Their approval determines how valuable you feel. Their decisions control your mood. No human being can consistently satisfy every emotional expectation placed upon them. So instead of expecting people to meet every emotional need, observe who they consistently prove themselves to be. Accept people according to their demonstrated character rather than their imagined potential. This simple shift can transform your relationships. Instead of becoming attached to who you hope someone will become, you begin accepting who they repeatedly show themselves to be. Reality replaces fantasy, and with that comes freedom. Expectations can also grow without limits. The more someone gives you, the more you begin expecting. What once felt extraordinary eventually becomes normal. Then when their effort decreases slightly, disappointment appears. This is why gratitude is healthier than entitlement. Appreciate what people genuinely choose to give rather than constantly focusing on what they have not given. And whenever someone disappoints you, ask yourself an honest question. Did this person actually break a promise, or did they simply fail to meet an expectation I created in my own mind? That question can prevent enormous emotional pain. It helps you distinguish between genuine betrayal and unrealistic expectations. This does not mean you should accept disrespect. You should still expect honesty, respect, integrity, and healthy behavior from the people you allow close to you. But expecting every person to become your emotional protector, lifelong supporter, and constant source of validation creates pressure that few relationships can survive. The healthiest relationships are built on mutual respect, not emotional demands. People who experience the greatest inner peace are not necessarily surrounded by perfect friends. They simply understand human nature. They appreciate loyalty when it appears. They do not demand perfection from imperfect people. They understand that everyone has limitations, responsibilities, struggles, and changing priorities. Because they accept this reality, they experience less disappointment. Their happiness depends less on other people's behavior and more on their own emotional stability. When you stop expecting other people to complete your emotional world, you stop giving them the power to destroy your peace. You become grateful for loyalty instead of demanding it. You appreciate kindness instead of depending on it. And you learn to judge people according to reality rather than imagination. That is when disappointment begins losing its power over your life. And once you stop placing unrealistic expectations on people, you begin seeing relationships with much greater clarity. But there is still one experience that reveals more about a person's loyalty than years of comfortable friendship ever could: difficult times. Because when life becomes difficult, temporary companions often disappear while genuine loyalty finally reveals itself.